One segment of that tapeworm can hold up to 46 uteruses, and it can produce up to 1 million eggs a day. They've got like claws, they're hooks, and they hook right into your tissue, and then they live right up at the top of your stomach, and they can steal up to 90% of our nutrients.
These worms, when they come out, are they ever like still moving and alive?
I mean, I have videos.
Kim Rogers, aka the Worm Queen. Kim, all right.
Kim Rogers, CEO of Rogers Hood, has become a wellness influencer worldwide. Her personal health journey and parasite cleansing story captured global attention. She turned her struggles into a brand that inspires millions.
Parasite testing is very difficult because they're evaders, and they know when you're talking about them because they're in a live frequency inside of our alive bodies. They can hide very easily.
I've had the opportunity to see some of these like worms and parasites and stuff come out of people. They look like little aliens.
Aliens.
It's crazy.
They look nuts. Like flukes look like a tomato skin rolled up. And I'm like, I didn't eat any tomatoes recently.
I can't wait to do my deworming. I'm a little like, I'm excited, but I'm a little scared.
You're looking a little nervous.
I am.
You're looking a little nervous.
You know, who knows what's going to come out of there? Welcome to another episode of a Healthy Point of View podcast. I'm your host, Sam Tejada, and as usual, we're bringing experts from all over the world to talk about health, wellness, beauty, and mindset. Today's guest comes all the way from Seattle, Washington. It's one of those long flights that I truly hate doing, but I'm happy that she made it here to a Healthy Point of View. And today's guest, we're going to be talking about some of the stuff that you've probably heard before about worms. We're going to be talking about parasites, some of these things that are living inside of you in this toxic world that we live in, right? What do these worms do? Are they eating our brains? Are they causing holes in our brains? Are they causing holes inside of our body? What are they doing? Today, we have the pleasure to interview Kim Rogers, a.k.a. the Worm Queen. Kim, all right. Welcome to a Healthy Point of View podcast, Kim.
Well, thanks. That was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Worm Queen.
The Worm Queen. I was crowned. Yeah, I was crowned.
You were crowned. You know, I've always wanted to be a king.
Yeah.
One day. You know, I thought I was going to be the prom king, and I never got that back in high school, unfortunately. But you're the Worm Queen. Like, number one, how did you get the name Worm Queen?
Well, I didn't want to be known as the Worm Lady. That's not fun. That's not good merch. Like Worm Queen, I had to get a crown for talking about this. So my community actually gave it to me when I went viral on TikTok in 2021.
I love that.
I said, what can we call me? Because I was getting so many DMs, Worm Lady, and I was getting comments, Worm Lady. And I'm like, no, I cannot be Worm Lady. I need to be like something fun. And so I was crowned Worm Queen.
I love that. Yeah, listen, you got to establish that brand. It can't be something, you don't want to be called something that you don't like.
Yeah.
Right? So Kim, before we start talking about worms and parasites and everything else, I want the listeners and viewers to get to know you a little bit better. I want to talk about your upbringing of where you're from and how was life growing up, just so people can understand who you are.
So I grew up a little bit in California, but then my dad was a colonel in nuclear missiles in South Dakota.
Okay.
So I grew up in South Dakota. I grew up in a military family, and I wasn't really conforming to a military family. I was very much like I am now, so very alternative, into plants and different types of medicine. And so I grew up like that. And then I moved all over the West Coast, and I worked for an airline for a few years. And then I decided to go into medicine. My mom is chronically ill, and I had stage 4 endometriosis. And so I decided that I wanted to kind of figure out what was wrong with my mom, as well as figure out what was wrong with my body. And so I decided in 2004 to go into Western medicine, and I hold 2 healthcare degrees from Western medicine. And I've worked in Western medicine for over 20 years.
Oh, wow. What are those degrees that you have?
I have an associate's in medical specialties. So at one point I was a licensed medical specialist, and I worked in emergency room. I worked in urgent care, and I worked in family care. and my specialties were neurology and endocrinology.
Okay.
And then I pivoted over to academia and I got my degree in a bachelor's in healthcare management. And then I worked with 25 healthcare colleges that I actually built myself with some of my colleagues. And then we ended up writing curriculum. And then I ended up writing books for big publishing companies for academia medical.
Wow. You got some experience.
I do.
So, with that experience throughout all of these years of doing what you're doing, what have you learned about Western medicine?
Well, I learned that Western medicine is not here to heal your body. It's here to save your life. So if you're looking for an answer, like I was with my own personal health, it's just not always there for you.
Mm,
And that you have to be your own patient advocate and you have to learn sovereignty over your own body in order for you to actually regain your health if you're in a chronically ill state like I was.
right, right. So let's talk about that, about your situation that you had, where you said that you were in a chronically state with
Yeah.
your health. So, are you open to talk about that?
Oh, yeah. I love talking about it because I think people have a better understanding when you explain your health journey. And so my health journey started in my 20s. I had stage 4 endometriosis. And by the age of 29, I had a hysterectomy. And because of endometriosis and adenomyosis, I've had 13 surgeries.
Oh, wow.
And so in 2019, my surgeons and my medical team told me that I could no longer have surgeries and that I just had to live this way. And I felt like that was very unacceptable.
Yeah.
I was not wanting to live in chronic pain every day and not going to the bathroom and not understanding what it could be. And so in 2019, my husband and I sold our home. We both quit our careers and we owned a piece of recreational property out in Hoodsport, Washington. And we decided to build a log home and say goodbye to me. That if for some reason I couldn't heal myself, that my husband would be left with no mortgage and no debt. It is very expensive to be chronically ill. It's not
Right.
cheap. And so I had racked up some bills and I wanted to make sure that he was taken care of when we said goodbye.
Right.
That's
Right.
kind of where I was able to take a break though, because sometimes when you are as sick as I was, you have to find a way to break. And so that's what we ended up doing in 2019 for around a year and a half until we figured out what was really wrong with me.
And what was that like? Obviously, it's a journey to try to figure out what's wrong with you.
It's a journey.
So let's talk about that journey, because obviously you had to go through a lot of different testing and trial and error to see if this is going to work, and new different supplements. Well, let's talk about that.
Um, I went into the woods in 2019 and we started to grow mushrooms.
Mm,
And so we realized that mushrooms could help my body. So I worked on getting rid of all of my big pharma meds that I was on. I'd been on Klonopin for over 22 years at a very high dose. And so I slowly weaned myself off of that. And I started to work on eating cleaner. And around 2021, I was kind of plateauing and I couldn't figure out what my next steps were, right?
right.
So there wasn't any testing. There wasn't really any testing that was done on me until 2021. We
Wow.
just went out there and we were like, we're going to figure this out or we're going to say goodbye.
Right.
So at that point, 2020 happened and I lived in Washington. And so in Washington, we had a lot of restrictions. You couldn't go into medical facilities if you didn't get the jab and you
Right.
didn't wear a mask, and I wasn't going to do either. So a lot of what my husband and I did was just taking my classically trained education and his love of herbs, and we started to merge them together and really figure out how those things could help us and why I was so ill.
Wow.
And so in 2021, it was July of 21, I had a small TikTok account, like 10,000 followers at the time. And I was scrolling, and I scroll with purpose. I like to scroll and like watch people talk about knowledge. So I came across a gal and she said, I almost unalived myself over worms. And I was like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. I thought I had worms a few years before. And my doctors said, there's no way we live in a first world country. those aren't worms. Something else is going on with you. And I'm like,
Mm.
okay, well, you might know better than me, right? Like I'd given my power over to them.
Right.
And so I decided in those moments that I came across this gal's video, I'm like, I'm going to try what she's talking about. So I ordered it off Amazon. It was just a $30 tincture. And I tried it. And within 3 days, I saw roundworm flukes and pinworms in the toilet. And I didn't even have to dig.
How big were they?
Oh, they were big.
Really?
Yeah. There was a few that, I mean, they were visible. And then there were a lot of eggs. And then
Eggs. Oh.
I'd never done any of these herbs before, so I really disrupted whatever was going on in those moments for them.
And
Them meaning the worms.
So 3 days.
3 days.
In 3
In 3
days.
days.
I understand that stuff.
Yep.
This is you know, I've had the opportunity to see some of these like worms and parasites and stuff come out of people on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, I've seen some of these things. They look like little aliens.
Aliens.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
They look
Yeah.
nuts. Like flukes look like a tomato skin rolled up. And I'm like, I didn't eat any tomatoes recently. And then
Wow.
eggs look very similar to almost like a piece of corn, but it's a lot longer. I actually have a free parasite identification book that is like 600 pages long. That I've identified thousands of parasites. And then I have
Wow.
like 25,000 on my phone of pictures. If anyone ever steals my phone, they're going to give it back. Because they're going to be like, no, I don't want
It's
this.
the worm phone.
Yeah, it's the Worm Queen's phone, and we know it, and they're going to find a way to not have it. My best friend, Sam, who's also my co-host on my podcast, What's Eating You, she won't put worms in the memes because she says that it just steals her energy. And I'm like, maybe, because it's so gross. She goes, it takes me days to get past what I have to see. And I'm like, oh, I see it all day.
Wow. So you saw these
yeah.
worms come out of your body.
Yeah, I
right?
saw the worms come out of my body.
What was your reaction when you saw that?
Well, I immediately grabbed my phone and made a video.
Wow.
And that video went very viral. So I did a 60-second video, and within 2 hours, 1 million people watched the video.
Really?
And it was so overwhelming that TikTok actually wouldn't let me back in my account for a while because they thought there was fraud going on, right? Because so many people were commenting, so many people were liking the video. And then my phone overheated, and I'm standing there, and we're in the middle of our log home build, and I'm looking at my husband, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going viral. Like,
Wow.
and our family was coming that day to help us build. And I'm like, okay, well, I think that this is what I'm meant to do. Like, I think this
was
is
your calling.
I think this is it. I thought it was mushrooms, but no, it's worms.
Wow. Okay. So then you go viral from seeing the little worms with the eggs.
Yep.
So okay. So you see that happen.
hmm
Now we're talking about your health here and the process that you're going through. So what was the next step?
Well, in the moment I saw everything in the toilet, there was such a validation for me. And that's why I decided to share this every day for the last 1,489 days. I've never taken a break. I've done this every day since I went viral. And I realized that my problems, potentially a root cause was this. Now, since then, I've had multiple tests done and multiple root causes. So it's not just parasites, but it was the beginning of it. And I found out I actually had Cryptosporidium parvium, which is parvo, which kills puppies, and it was shutting down some of my organs. And I also found out I had chronic Lyme, and I was in the end stages of it.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's why I had a hysterectomy when I was 29 years old. In my opinion, I also have mold in my body that my mom and I have the same mold. So genetically, I've actually linked it all the way back to when I was born and where she got her mold. So to say that it was just parasites, I just want to preface that it wasn't just parasites that was making me sick, but it was the biggest issue that I was having in my health. And so that's why I do this every day, because why not make something simple and do a cleanse, right? And so when I went viral, and I did like 10 videos that day, and then I just kept doing videos, I was gaining information in the comments from those videos for me to then go and research. And then I would come back on videos and I would give the knowledge to the community of what I found out.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really a community effort. And everyone on TikTok at the time, I wasn't on Instagram at that time, everyone on TikTok were like homesteaders, ranchers, farmers. And they were like, yeah, I mean, we take Ivor and we take Fend and we take Wormwood, but you got to bind. And I'm like, well, what's binding? Because in Western medicine, you don't use a binder.
Right.
You use charcoal in the emergency room when someone is overdosed or has alcohol poisoning. You
Right.
don't do it in a little dosage of it to get toxins out. So then I'm like digging even more. And I was just really intrigued with the fact that, one, how is this so missed in Western medicine and the wellness community? And two, what do you mean you have to take all these herbs, and what does that all mean, and why do you have to do that? And that was it. This is my mission.
Wow.
So I dug in, and I'm chronically ill. So I was chronically ill at the
Yeah.
time, and I just had a lot of time on my hands.
So when you did the deworming, can I
Mhm.
call it that, deworming?
Yeah.
So when you did the deworming, did you feel any different after that? Did you feel a little bit better? Because obviously you had other type of medical issues going on, right?
Yeah.
Some chronic issues that you had. But did you feel a little bit more energetic? How did you feel?
Immediately felt better.
Really? Okay.
Immediately felt better. The
Nice.
wormwood acts like a Mother Nature's doxycycline and a steroid. So it can boost your body up and assist your immune system in continuing to heal, right? And then I like brought in other herbs to boost up my body, but I immediately felt better.
Wow.
Like this pain that I had had on my right side when it was time for me to have surgery was an indication to me that something was wrong, and that pain was back when
Okay.
I decided to do this $30 Amazon parasite cleanse. And immediately, whatever that was going on, I knew what it was in the toilet.
Right.
So I've never had that pain again. I am currently 4 years from not having surgeries. I would have them every 2 years. So whatever I am doing is working
It's
and
working.
keeping me in remission. Even with my chronic Lyme, I'm in remission. And so it's really just now about keeping my symptoms and doing things like IVs and different modalities that I do on a daily basis.
Well, so you had 13 surgeries,
did.
right? Now, did you do the deworming process before the 13th surgeries?
No, my last surgery was in 2019, and the first time I ever dewormed was in 2021.
Oh, so this
Yep.
is after the 13 surgeries.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And kind of what was a big indication is I had stopped going poop for around 30 days. And I
30
emailed
days.
30
That's a
days.
severe constipation.
Severe constipation. And I emailed my doctor, and she said, take some psyllium husk. And I'm like, okay, so that's it? And she said, we can't do any more surgeries on you, Kim. We've done as many as we can. We're now just creating more issues in your body by continuing to go in and cut out the endometriosis.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Now, we talked earlier about your level of education. You
Mhm.
have a lot of education, and it's in the traditional medicine world.
Mhm.
So I want to talk about, there had to be an unlearning process throughout your healing, journey. So I want to talk about how that looked for you, unlearning some of the things that you did learn in the medical field.
I think that the unlearning happened that day when I saw the toilet, honestly.
Okay.
In 2019, when we left and went to the woods and we started growing mushrooms, and I was doing journeys like every day to get downloads and learn about my body on an internal basis. I started to unlearn that way too. The mushrooms really taught me ways to understand what cleansing was and understand my body, and you have to eat right. And so I feel like that was a big part of the unlearning journey. But the moment that the pain on my right side was gone and I saw what was in the toilet, I didn't need to unlearn anymore. I knew
Wow.
right then that herbs were a very important part of like healing my body. And I needed to pause and think back like, okay, so if this is what happened to me, and I immediately flipped it, what's happening to other people? And I need
Right.
to share this, immediately share this.
Yeah, interesting enough, you go back just 100, 200 years ago.
101 years
Yeah,
ago.
101 years ago. There you go.
Mhm.
There goes the number. And people, this is how people would get treated. You know,
Yep.
when you needed medicine, food was medicine, right? Herbs and different things that you found in nature. It wasn't all of these synthetic drugs that we give people. So it's almost like we're going back to the root of real medicine,
We
right?
are. It's really a fun thing that we get to be a part of,
Yeah.
right? We get to be a part of bridging what we know now works and bridging what we know then worked.
Right.
I mean, even April and I were talking in the waiting room, and she's from Jamaica, and this is what they do still.
Right.
So we
Yeah.
just lost this 101 years ago, and it's very easy coming from the academic world. I've been able to see behind the scenes of exactly why this has happened. It takes around 50 years to reset a medicine. And so around the 50s, right, because it started in 1924 is
Right.
when our medicine changed. Around the 50s to 60s is when we really saw a change in our medicine, which is like the boomer age, and that's my parents' age.
Right.
And so that's when things started to really change.
Yeah.
And then we grew up in processed foods and processed life and synthetics, which, if you look at it as a whole with your body, were just frequencies. So all they did was master how synthetic frequencies can be made
Yeah.
from a plant DNA structure.
Wow.
So there really is the same idea behind what they were intentionally trying to do. But unfortunately, it just hasn't been mastered to the best with all the chronic illness that we have in Western medicine countries.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's disappointing at times, but I do see this medical awakening that we're all in.
Yeah.
And
Especially
that's,
right now.
oh, yeah. That's totally why I wanted to be on your podcast,
Oh, yeah.
because I see this happening and I'm just like in awe. I'm like, I can't not say anything, you know?
No. So this is the time to get the message out.
That's
You know,
right.
You go back just a few years ago, you're getting censored on everything. You know.
Yep.
So this is a good time to get this message out. Now, Kim, when we're talking about worms, and I don't know if you know the actual statistics on this or
Mhm.
you know any of the stats on it. How many people, when we're looking at the population, how many people do you think are living with worms inside of them?
Okay, do you want the black and white statistic and then I can tell you mine, or should I tell you mine? Okay, so I think 95% of us have parasites in us.
Oh wow,
In Western medicine
really?
countries. We eat sushi, we eat salmon, we eat raw produce, we eat raw meat. We are drinking tap water, right? We shower in tap water. Um, these are notorious ways to catch parasites. If you want CDC statistics, it's 60 million people that they've tested, and this statistic is from 2022, so it's still 3 years old.
Right.
And those numbers are from insurance labs that then report to the CDC. And unfortunately, parasite testing is very difficult because they're evaders and they live in a hard biofilm. And so they're difficult to expose, and they know when you're talking about them because they're in a live frequency inside of our alive bodies. And so they can hide very easily. And you only get a snapshot of what you've done for the day in your gut when you scoop for the parasite test,
right.
right? So it's very difficult to test for these things. So when you look at that number, that 60 million people, they say in the United States have parasites, I'm not even included in that. And I did test positive, but my stool had to go to Mexico. So if you look at that in a big picture, only 60 million of us have it, and that's only the ones that have tested positive.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
It's crazy
that's
how
a
we
lot of
can't do
people
it.
that
It's a
I could-
lot of people.
Yeah.
They say like 1.5 or 1.6 billion in the world have parasites, active parasites in their body.
In the most active way to actually get exposed to these and bring them into your body is through like sushi and stuff, or
And pets.
pets.
I would say that 95 to 100% of pet owners have a parasite. You know, we're deworming our dogs.
Right.
And we're picking up after them. I had the same worm as my dog. So we're doing all these things for our dogs, but we just, I guess, never really thought that our pets could give us those parasites that we are deworming them for.
Wow. So now, do you deworm your pets frequently as well too? If you
I don't have any
you don't
dogs anymore, but I did. I had 3, and we dewormed 2 of them because we saw he visibly had worms.
What about tapeworms? Is that something that's frequent?
Mm-hmm. 3 out of 5 people have tapeworms is the statistic. And I would say that more than that come through my DMs that have tapeworm. And so I actually added hawthorn into the Parafy kit because hawthorn is something that they don't like. So it makes them inhospitable and then they want to leave. And if you think about like a bear, when a bear has a tapeworm, I've done a lot of bear videos where the tapeworms are coming out of their butt. They go and literally eat hawthorn berry and hawthorn leaves because they know instinctually that it's going to rid their body of that tapeworm.
Interesting. So is tapeworm the one worm that makes you eat a lot?
Yeah, and some people think that you take a tapeworm and can get skinny, but really it can make you not lose weight
Hold on.
too.
People actually do that?
Yeah.
They actually, they
Oh, the
actually,
Victorian age.
yeah, I need you to kind of explain
Oh
that.
my God, the
People
Victorian
actually
age.
take a tapeworm to get skinny.
Well, for a while, you could get it in the Sears catalog. The back of the Sears catalog had eggs of tapeworms, so you could eat them.
What?
Oh, yeah. In the Victorian
No
age,
way.
that's why they're so skinny. But then they didn't think about the fact that one segment of that tapeworm can hold up to 46 uteruses, and it can produce up to 1 million eggs a day.
Wow.
It is one of the hardest worms to get rid of because they've got like claws, they're hooks, and they hook right into your tissue. And then they live right up at the top of your stomach, and then they eat all your nutrients. And so a lot of people think, oh, well, that's going to make me skinny. But in a lot of people, it makes them overweight because the body can't process your food and nutrients because they're literally hanging on to the worm.
Wow.
And they can steal up to 90% of our nutrients.
That's scary.
It's very scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe people just like willingly.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like, hey, I
I
want
couldn't
a
believe it
tapeworm.
either.
You know, forget Ozempic. Let me get a tapeworm.
Well, they call it Ozempic of the 20s.
The 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I
I'll pass
actually
on
have that
one.
video in my drafts.
Wow. That's something. So, wow. So I'm learning a lot here. I just did not know that the worm stuff is that. I can't
Yeah.
wait to do my deworming. Now I'm a little like,
Are
I'm
you a little-
excited, but a little
I
scared.
was you're looking a little nervous.
I am
Sam.
a
You're
little
looking
nervous.
a
I'm not
little
gonna lie.
nervous.
Yeah, who knows what's going to come out of there?
You just never know. I mean, even me, I've been doing this for 4 years and I still see things questionably in the toilet.
Right.
For 4 years, I do this.
Wow.
So if I'm this like steady about it, can you imagine why we're so chronically ill? You know, if you're not going in there and cleaning your soil, really preparing your body to receive nutrients and to receive all these modalities that we're constantly doing and talking about, going in the sun and vibration plate. Like if you're not cleaning your soil, then you're really going to struggle. And
Yeah.
that's what I realized. I started doing all the things and then I plateaued and I'm like, well, why am I plateauing? Why is my skin a mess still? Why am I not losing any weight? You know, why is my mental health just trash? And I'm trying so hard. Well, it's because I had a bunch of worms in me that were controlling my mind. You know, parasites control your mind and mold brainwashes you. And I also lived in mold when all of this was going on. And so all of these environmental toxins are really going to cause you to have a lot of health issues because you're not absorbing all of the things that we're putting into our body thinking we're being healthy.
Wow. I heard, people online say that RFK Jr. had
He did.
worms
Yeah.
in his brain or something like
He had
that.
neurocystic and he talked about it last year, and it ate part of his brain, and he took some medicine and it killed the parasite, but he still has a physical worm in his brain. So it caused him to have some issues.
Can he get that taken out?
I mean,
or-
it probably is like dissolved, but as long as it's not producing eggs, but so they can cross the blood-brain barrier. I mean, they can go all over your body. I think the misconception is that they're only in your gut,
Mm.
but really they're in our blood, our tissue, and our muscle.
Wow.
And if you think about how we eat blood, tissue, and muscle of animals, and that's where we can pick them up, we're the same.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Now, Kim, you were talking about how you always look at your stool, right? I want you to talk about how important it is to actually be a poop gazer.
Okay.
You know? And I say it that way because I want people to understand, like, you have to look at your poop.
You do.
You have to. But why do you have to look at your poop?
Well, Okay, so I have a sense of humor when it comes to all of this. So there's 3 types of cleansers. There's flushers. They're just not looking and they're going. There's a looker. So you're going to look, but they're going to flush. And then there's diggers. There's people that get in there.
The diggers
They're called diggers.
with gloves.
Gloves, chopsticks, face mask. You know, they're like down in there.
Wow.
You can get like, we call them ass hats in the medical field. They flip them up. They look like a hat, but they go on your toilet seat, and then you go to the bathroom in it, and that's how you scoop and stuff.
Okay.
Poke some holes in that, like a colander, and then it'll sit, and then they scoop through it because they want to know.
Yeah.
Like they want to
What's in
know.
there?
They want to, yeah. And usually, if you've disrupted the parasite in your body, they will show themselves because they're mad. And then on their way out, they're laying eggs because they want the next generation to continue. They're like, oh, so you think as an adult, you're going to get me out? That's fine. You got me out. But now my offspring is rolling back in.
Man.
And that's the part that's really missing in the wellness community and in parasite cleansing is it's not a one and done. And that you have to continue to keep doing it because you're trying to remove the eggs and you're trying to go in. And I use herbs in there that help kill eggs if they're fresh, but I can't, if you're not taking it actively, then you're going to struggle getting rid of the eggs that were laid on the way out.
Right. So this is I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot. The diggers.
The
So,
diggers.
These worms when they come out, are they ever like still moving and alive?
I mean, I have videos where they came out alive.
They're alive. They're like still like wiggling
Yeah,
around,
wiggling in the
man.
toilet. So usually something like ascaris, which is a large roundworm, and a lot of farmers have that and ranchers because they're in like cattle and goats. A lot of them will have that, and it'll come out your pee.
Oh, it comes out through the pee.
Yeah, so that's why I went so viral. I had them come out my skin and my urine, and I said that in my video because they came out my pee, they came out my stool, but they also came out my skin.
Wow.
And
How
so,
big are they?
Some of them are small because threadworms are really the worms that will come out your skin. Is pinworm, threadworms. They're kind of the same, and they cause you to have the most itchy butt. And then roundworms.
Is it the one where they say you put a piece of tape on your
Yes.
butthole before
Yeah.
you go to sleep?
Uh-huh.
And then when you wake up, you take it out, you can see the little worms out there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And then
wow.
you take that piece of tape to your doctor, and then your doctor gives you, whatever worm meds, but they forget to tell you, 1, you got to bind, and 2, you got to do it again because they laid eggs on the way out, and threadworms, pinworms can multiply. I mean,
Wow.
so fast.
Pinworm. Oh, man. Ain't that something? Oh, man. I'm getting scared to even do this deworming thing. Now they're coming out of my skin. They're coming out of my pee, out of my butthole. I'm scared to go on in this interview. I'm starting to itch for no reason.
Oh my God, I see it. I'm seeing like the eyes and the light bulbs. Okay, so here's where this is so good, right? Because of the fact that I know all of this information. It's what made me do this cleanse. It's what made me make a company for this. It's what made me make my tinctures because there's so many layers. There's so many things that we have to know, and it's overwhelming for the general population who are just diving in or down the wormhole, and they're trying to get healthy, and they're like, well, what do I do? And so as I was going viral and I was watching people comment after comment, I compiled all of that. And then I was like, well, I mean, I got to make a business.
Yeah.
I got to do this. Like, I'm still ill, right? I wasn't still 100% where I am now, or like this year I've been able to travel and do more because I'm in a much better health space than I used to be. But like, well, what do you do? And here I'm talking about all these other companies. I'm talking about how you got to take this, you got to take this. And it was becoming quite expensive. And at the beginning of this journey, we were very poor. And that was because took me down with my chronic illness, So I learned a lot, and I learned that heavy metals weight them down. So you really need to bring in a heavy metal herb when you deworm.
Yeah, because there's a lot of other type of environmental toxins that can have a negative impact on your health. So the heavy metals are going to cause the worms to not be able to actually move?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And we're full of heavy metals.
Right. Yeah.
You were full of them. So logically, coming from my Western medicine training, you remove the heavy metals and then you just freed them up, right?
Right.
So now you got to come in synergistically and move them out, right? And then as you're killing them and they're dumping all of these things, they're dumping viruses, they're dumping heavy metals, spores, bacteria, other worms, Lyme. So now you have to go in and figure out exactly how to sweep all of that out while you're doing a cleanse and
Right.
binding it and pushing it out. So it's not coming out your skin and it's
Oh, wow.
not coming out your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth, right? It's coming out the way we all want it to come, in the toilet and flushing.
Okay, that's where the binding goes
Yeah.
into play. All right.
Yeah.
So did you include that in my packet, right? The bind-
Yes, it is included in all the Parify kits. And it's why the kit is so great because we include instructions and we actually have all 3 tinctures. And I made it so easy that even my husband could cleanse. That's why I did it.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. About even my husband. That's almost like the commercials back in the day. So easy, a caveman can do it. Oh man. All right. So I want to talk about some of the unspoken darkness during your health journey that you've experienced. Tell me a little bit about that.
I did a lot of mushrooms, so there was a lot of shadows that I went through. There was a lot of ego deaths that I had, and I really needed to work on my nervous system and my lymphatic system and really figure out ways that I can be a better person in a sense. Even though I'm a good person internally, I wanted to feel that, you know.
Right.
So I had severe PTSD, obviously for my health. That was a big one. I don't think people really relate PTSD in that sense where when you're chronically ill, I had a botched hysterectomy. I've had so many surgeries. It's a lot of trauma that my body stored.
Right.
So I had to figure out ways to release that trauma and do it in a healthier fashion. And I did a lot of that with mushrooms. And the one mushroom, the reason why she's on everything is Amanita. We actually learned how to break Amanita down and make muscimol and ibotenic acid. And so that's what I substituted. And this isn't medical advice. We were in the woods, But I learned how to break her down and actually supplement her from my benzodiazepine to Amanita and psilocybin. So I really did like went from synthetics to plants.
Okay.
And then I was able to get off of everything.
Now the Amanita, that one can, if you take too much, can become toxic, right? Is that it? Or?
No, the death cap, which is all white, it's immediately toxic. But with her, you prepare her, you dehydrate her. But if you're going to eat her raw, she's going to make you sick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So there was a point in time that you had to burn your old life and start Rogers Hood.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd that name come from?
My last name is Rogers, and we were in Hoodsport, Washington, and we called it the Hood.
The Hood.
And then I loved Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Find the Helpers, and so over on TikTok, you got to have a fun name.
Yeah.
All my friends had fun names, the Green Gardener and Pistol Packing Rancher, and I'm like, well, I'll be Mrs. Rogers Hood, right? Because I loved Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and I live in the Hood, and my last name is Rogers.
Nice. And really shifting from that old life that you had, how was that? I mean, that's a transition.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm still in a little bit of the transition at times. I never thought I would run a business that has a 10,000 square foot manufacturing facility and 40 team members.
Wow.
So we started from like $6,000 and we created our company from that.
And you and your husband, I know earlier you guys said you guys kind of just had to, both of you just change everything up.
We just changed our lives.
Amazing.
And we joke around like, well, what was the alternative? Dying in the woods, or really like going forward and knowing that this is what we were put here on earth to deliver.
Right.
We were here to help navigate in a medical awakening for people. We were helping navigate people with worms, environmental toxins. Really, I mean, this started with parasites, but while we were building, we were living in our travel trailer on our property in the rainforest, because that's where Hoodsport is, on the outskirts of a rainforest. And we had black toxic mold that almost killed us in
Wow.
2022. So my eyes swelled shut. I lost half my hair. So of course I created a mold kit for that, because it was a lot to find ways to help get mold out of my body. And so after I did like 6 months of mold detoxing from practitioners, it was hard to find the medicine. It was hard to buy it. It was expensive. I'm like, well, I can do this. Like, I'll just do it like the Parasite kit, right? So then I learned from those things as well. But it's just been just practicing what we want to do for our health. And
Right.
yes, it has been a transition. I'm very, very lucky though. My husband is here for us for everything. We don't have kids, and he quit his career to take care of me in 2019. And so now I'm just able to repay him back with all of the things that we're doing, and him getting to use his knowledge. And it's been a
Yeah.
really great journey. And we do have partners that are in Arkansas. That's where we make our tinctures, is in Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Okay.
And they run our production facility. And I met her on TikTok.
Oh,
She
okay.
offered to build me a website in 21. Back in the day, we didn't have Linktree. That wasn't something. 4 years ago, Linktree didn't exist. And so I needed a website to put all of this knowledge on. And she goes, I've got nothing going on. I'll go ahead and do it for you for free.
Oh, nice.
And I said, you know what? If we ever start a business, let's do it together. And so we started our business in December of 21.
Nice. Nice. So now you have full control over this product manufacturing.
hmm
So how is it now versus when you started with manufacturing the product, and how much product are you guys actually moving?
Well, we sold 500 kits the first hour that we created the Parafy kit. So
First hour, 500
first
kits.
hour, 500 kits.
Wow.
Total kits we've sold is 250,000, and total products we've sold is almost 1 million.
That's
I
amazing.
found that out yesterday, that we've sold almost 1 million products.
You're deworming a lot of people.
We are deworming the world.
Yeah.
We really are, because we're the only ones that ship around the world. We're
Okay.
one of the few that are ages 3 and up. We have a nut-free option, which is almost unheard of.
Wow.
And we provide so much information to our community that even if you don't use our product, we're still giving you that information.
Right.
I vowed that when I started this, I would never charge for anything but my kit. So I don't charge for anything.
Wow. I mean, you're very passionate about this. You know that this is your God-given purpose.
Yes, this
Yeah.
is my God-given
Yeah.
purpose.
So I want to talk about some of the myths and actual truths about detoxing.
Okay.
So what are some of the things that you hear out there, especially you're very active on social media when it comes to detoxing? What are some of the myths, and then what is the truth?
That our livers and our kidneys are meant to detox our bodies. That I hear that all the time. Like, why are you selling this as a snake oil salesman? Like, why are you doing this? Unfortunately, when your body is so taxed and the toxin bucket is overloaded, you got to come in with some assistance.
Right.
You have to come in with a team
Yeah.
in order to heal yourself. And that team is herbs, and that team is nutrition, and that team's moving your body.
Right.
But your body needs help. It's just where we're at in life, right? Everything is very toxic. And so if you can just give it a little extra, why not do that? Why not
Right.
help? So I hear that all the time. I hear that, salmon doesn't really have worms. It very much does. It very much has worms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live in Seattle, and I've talked to the fishermen that are world-renowned fishermen down at Pike, and they looked at me when I said, "Oh, I deworm people." They're like, "Girl, doesn't everyone know that worms are real?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, they're in all fish."
Wow. Wow. So and when we're talking about detoxing people, there's so much more that we have to detox in this very toxic world that we
hmm
live in, right? And you mentioned earlier the ultra processed foods, the chemicals they put in the foods, the environments that we live in. Mold is a huge one. So I can only imagine the other things besides worms that you're helping people detox from.
Candida, that's a big one because it's an overgrowth of yeast.
Right.
I'm actually working on some helping people get plastics out of their body, because I have some plastic in my body and it's causing me some issues. And so just really understanding how to move these things out of our bodies. And what else I've detoxed. I would say the amount of pictures and the amount of things that I've seen, I don't even know if it's all just worms when I
Really?
see things.
Wow.
Yeah, hair. I mean, some of the stuff I've seen is
That's something
crazy.
else. Wow. Wow. So I want to go through your protocol step by step
Okay.
so the viewers and listeners can really understand what is it that you've put together here.
Okay, so the Parify protocol is Parify, Sustain, and Metal Flush. This is your parasites. This is your candida and bad bacteria and viruses. And this is your heavy metal detox. But what makes this kit so special is that this has a biofilm buster herb in it. Biofilm is what they live in. So they meaning mold, parasites, worms, candida. They're actually encased in a hard shell. So
Oh.
similar to an egg.
Okay.
Right. And you have to break that. Now, there'll be some that are just kind of floating around, and those are the ones you're catching if you're not using a biofilm herb or biofilm buster. So those will literally float around, and that's what you're catching. But if you're going to bring in the big dogs, which we use lungwort lichen, it's going to go in and it's going to burn their house down, exposing them. And then each one of those herbs takes them out individually. Right.
Wow.
So that they're, their friends that are living with mold and the heavy metals, they're all living in this house in this biofilm. And you have to break that down.
Okay.
And then sometimes it can be uncomfortable. So I put in white willow bark, which helps with some pain. And then I realized that you're going to be feeling die-off symptoms regardless if you're just parasite cleansing. So I brought in herbs that help with candida so that you can have control over yeast that's overgrowing in your body.
Right.
And
right.
I created all of it together so that you can take one kit for 30 days, 3 to 4 times a year, reduce your inflammation, have your skin glow, feel better in order for you to really understand your health better and get back to yourself.
Nice. And how do most people feel after they do one of these kits?
Amazing.
And how many days is the kit?
30 days to start.
30 days.
30 days.
And when
Yep.
you say amazing, what is amazing?
I think within the first 5 to 7 days, most people say how much inflammation's gone, how much they're peeing more, how much they're regulated, right? Because you're not going to be on the toilet the whole time. That's a question I get a lot
Right,
is, oh my gosh, am I going to be on the toilet the whole time? No, because it's very gentle. You're not taking an abundance of herbs. You're doing it in a very small microdose type of way. And it's just very gentle the way that I did it so that you're not wanting to stop it.
Right,
A
right.
bad cleanse is like a bad trip. You got to keep going, but you don't want to, right? And so I learned the hard way because we didn't bind. We didn't do anything for candida. We just did the one wormwood, garlic, clove, black walnut hull, and they came out our skin. We were in complete pain because we weren't doing it right. We weren't binding. And so all of those things make a difference when you do a cleanse and you detox. And you should be doing a binder, right? No
Okay.
matter whatever you're doing in life, if you're moving your lymphatic system, it's the sewer of your body. So if you get a massage, you should bind because they're like free in your body, right? You
Right.
just moved them out of your lymphatic system, the sewer,
Right.
and you have no way of capturing them and pushing them out.
Mm.
So bind. Whenever you feel achy, bind. Like those are the things that I learned. And that's what makes it so good is that it's all in a nice little box and it's all right there. You don't have to like really think.
Nice and easy.
Yeah. and
Especially
it's-
for the digger.
Oh,
I think I'm going to be the digger.
the diggers.
Yeah, I'm going to be the digger.
But
When I
yeah.
do my kit, I'm going to have to dig. I got to figure out what's in there. And, I'm a content guy, so I got to bring the guys from the studio
Heck
to take the
yeah.
pictures and stuff. So.
You gotta send me pictures.
the high resolution videos, right? We got to go all in. We got
You
go
start
all
to
in.
get real close with your community when you
bet.
start to do it. We do community cleanses across all social media so that people have people to do this with. And it's just 4 years ago, this just wasn't something, right? And people that were chronically ill were very alone. I
Right.
was very alone. And so I vowed that if I had a platform, that I would stand up for my community and show them that they're not alone and that you have each other, and send each other pictures and
Yeah,
have fun with it, and then send them to me,
absolutely.
please.
So a lot of these worms that people and parasites that are inside of people's bodies, can that lead to other type of diseases or chronic illnesses?
hmm
What are some of those?
Well, for sure, mold. Usually, if you have parasites, you should go get tested for mold.
Okay.
And I think they said like 70 to 75% of our buildings have mold in them in the
Wow.
country. So, what happens is when you breathe the mold in, it gets into your bloodstream and it colonizes, but it also gets stuck inside of a worm if you have physical worms in your body.
Mm,
So,
that
not
makes sense.
all people have physical worms. So you might not see something. The definition of a parasite is anything that feeds off a host, and the Latin term is an unwanted dinner guest.
Mm,
So they're eating off of you and they're living off of you. And so there's multiple levels of parasites, though. There's protozoas, which
okay.
is Giardia, D. fragilis, and Cryptosporidium parvium. There's the other protozoas, but those are the top three that most people know about. And then there's nematodes. And nematodes are physical worms like tapeworm, roundworm, whipworm, hookworm, pinworms. And so when you see something physical, you have a nematode then. And
Okay.
what I found out in the midst of all of this is our country doesn't actually test our water for nematodes. And we had worms in our water in Hoodsport, Washington, which is really what created this perfect storm in my body.
Wow.
I wasn't drinking the water, but I was showering in it. I was cleaning my produce in it. I brushed my teeth in it. I wear a retainer, so I was soaking my retainer in it. Like all of the ways, right?
Wow.
We were drinking reverse osmosis water, but we weren't showering. And, water can absorb
It's
into your
almost like
body.
you have to buy one of those whole
hmm
home systems
Yep.
to prevent that. Wow.
We do now. We have a whole house filter system. And then in our apartment where we live now actually has filters underneath. But I've always been very sensitive to water because of all the heavy metals that are in it
Right.
and all of the pharmaceuticals. So I've always been really conscientious about water. But we had just a charcoal water on our travel trailer, and that just wasn't, or charcoal filter, that just wasn't enough.
Right.
It
Right.
wasn't pushing out the worms. We tested our water, and that's how we know what was in our water.
Interesting. Interesting. Kim, the next question I'm going to ask you, this is a question that I want you to take time and really think through it. And I want it to come from the heart. And this question is, I want you to think about what the true problem is in this world related to what you're doing, what the true problem is, and what is the solution. And take 1 or 2 minutes and just go at it and let the world know what you want them to know.
Okay. I think we have worms. I think we have parasites. I think we eat food that contains them. And I think that we've missed it in the wellness community. I feel like, again, if you haven't cleaned your soil, if you haven't gotten down in there and really worked inside of your muscles and your tissue and your blood and really started to push things out, and they're absorbing our nutrients, that all these supplements that we're taking and all of the supplements that we're in fact thinking are going to help us, we're only getting a fraction of those
Mm,
if they can take up to 90% of our nutrients.
right.
And that is really what propelled me forward to figure out what else was going on. Because I had changed my whole life from 2019 to 2021 at the beginning. I changed a lot and I still wasn't at a level that I should have been. My mental health was still really rough. I still had terrible anxiety. I had terrible PTSD. I wasn't going to the bathroom still. So all of those things changed for me when I started parasite cleansing. Just
Right.
cleansing, actually, not just for parasites. But once I found out I had parasites, I found out that I had mold poisoning. And once I found out I had mold poisoning, I had chronic Lyme. And I was able to shift all of what I was doing to help my body and heal my body.
Right.
And I think that we as a society are so disconnected with our soul and our mind to this physical temple of ours. And at the end of the day, this body is carrying us and we want to treat it with the utmost respect, and we want to do everything we can for it. And I think we've lost that.
Yeah.
I think that's where the chronic illness in our country is so bad.
And I see that. You know, the Bible says that your body's the temple of God, right?
Yep.
And this is the vessel that you really need to take care of. So you're absolutely right about that. Kim, right now there's a big movement that's happening. It's called the MAHA movement,
Mm-hmm.
Make America Healthy Again.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts about this movement?
Oh, I think it's great. I was on Alex Clark a couple of months ago. I was on Dr. Josh X a few months ago. I know you're very big in the MAHA movement, and I love it. I think that everyone should want to be healthy, no matter
Right.
what side of the aisle you're on. Everyone should be healthy.
Agreed.
And in Western medicine, we are told you can't be on either side of the aisle. You can't have an opinion.
Right.
So the fact that all of these opinions have happened since 2020, but they're so angry at the fact we want to help people and make people healthy,
Right.
it's crazy to me that simple things like this can help people be healthy, and we're villainized for it. And I'm censored for it. So I used to have 40 to 50 million people watch me a month on TikTok, and I'm lucky if I get 2 million now.
Wow.
Because I'm so heavily censored, talking about parasites and wellness and cleansing and modalities. I had to pivot from TikTok. I then went over to Instagram, where I have like 385,000 followers. I then created my own podcast so that I could yell this louder, so that if one shut me down, which I am pretty much shut down at TikTok, I can go over here. You know, we have 1 million+ followers across all of our platforms because I just kept building.
Right.
Because this is so important. We've missed it. Other countries cleanse. Other countries use synthetic drugs. Other countries know herbs are to be used. What is wrong with our country?
Yeah.
Why is Western medicine so stuck on we're a first world country, our water's great? No, our water is not great. Our water is trash, and that's what made me sick.
Yeah.
And so why can't we look at a bigger picture of let's start doing this for our children so that we have a way to propel them forward?
Right.
We have a way. We are one of the best countries, but the worst for our health. Like, that to me is very upsetting.
It's a very corrupt system, you know, driven by money, profits.
Yep.
So, and it's something that needs to change. You
It
know,
is.
there's a huge shift that needs to happen with the course of medicine. So, and we're doing it.
I'm
Yeah,
so
little by little.
grateful.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
so
yeah.
grateful we're doing it. And that's why I asked to come on your podcast,
Absolutely.
because I really know you have a message, and I know you have a platform where people are listening and understanding how to become well, how to regain their health, how to navigate in a medical awakening that we're in. I mean, I saw it in 2020 as I was in the woods dying. I was like, listen, I might not be able to go on the political spectrum of yelling things, but like, I know health. Like,
Yeah.
I was valedictorian over both of my degrees. I had, 25 healthcare colleges that I wrote the curriculum for, and I built myself. So it really is something that I feel is missing in this movement that we're having of health. We
Right.
got to clean our soil.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's the truth. It's we have to make that. We can't really depend on the bigger governing bodies to actually lead us in that way. You
Mhm.
know, people have to take control of their own health. They have to be knowledgeable enough to know what to put into your body, what to say no to, and things to do, like your
Yep.
kid, right? So, Kim, we're gonna have a little fun here, really quick.
Yeah.
So, one of my favorite podcasters, Stephen Bartlett, with the Diary of a CEO, came out with these conversation
Oh,
cards.
he's great.
So I want you to open that up.
Okay.
You're going to go ahead and grab one of the cards from the middle. You'll read the question and you'll answer
That's fun. I want to get this deck now.
it.
I never thought I'd be a CEO of a company.
And look at you now.
I know, man. It's wild. It's wild. This journey has been crazy. Okay. Oh, I have to put it back in. All right. You have one last piece of work to do. What is the piece of work and why? Seth Rogen. One last piece, like completely
Last thing.
my last day. Oh man. I mean, probably podcasting. That would be my last piece of work. I would go on and continue to
Spread the word.
spread the word. Even on my last dying day, I'm going to be known as the Worm Queen.
I like that. I like that. That's powerful. Yeah. Awesome. Kim, as we start wrapping up here on the podcast, if there's anyone listening that really resonates with today's message, which I think there's going to be a lot of people resonating with this, what is that one thing you can leave them off with?
Be your own patient advocate. Take sovereignty over your own body and do what is best for you. And if you don't get the answers you want from Western medicine, you can go find people that will sit down with you and listen to you, because you're not alone.
Right.
That's really the biggest thing, is you're just not alone. And I think we feel very alone at times because we're so internal creatures, right? But you're not alone. And there's a community out here that loves you and supports you and will help you navigate whatever you're going through.
I love that. And if people want to find you, where can they find you?
You can go to my website, rogershood.com. You can find me on all the platforms, Mrs. Rogers Hood. That's MRSROGERSHOOD. Or you can Google Kim Rogers Worm Queen and I'll pop up.
Amazing. Kim, it was a pleasure having you on a Healthy Point of View podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Guys, you heard Kim. If traditional medicine has potentially failed you, you're not alone. There's many other people out there that are seeking answers. Get involved with that community. Don't just let the bigger bodies, the governing bodies, tell you what you need to do and how you need to live your life. Change the trajectory of your health by taking some of these proactive approaches, doing some of these other alternative treatments. We call it alternative treatments, but truthfully, it is the treatment. Guys, make sure you share, like, comment, do all that fun stuff here on this podcast. There's somebody else who's going to need this information. You and I both know it, and we'll see you for the next one.